race 6 of a 12-race season for the Prototype Cup Germany. After today, we will be at the halfway point of this 2025 season, the 4th season of the Prototype Cup Germany, organised by the ADAC in partnership with Creventic. Hello everybody, welcome along to the Lausitzring for day 2 of this round 3 of the season for the Prototype Cup Germany. Air temperature is 16 degrees centigrade. Oh, it's just dropped to 14.8. Oh, it's back up to 16. One thing I can tell you, it's been raining. A lot of rain started to come down a couple of hours ago, which is why we're a little bit late on air. So those of you who have been waiting for us, thank you for waiting. We hope you are going to be entertained. We were entertained yesterday. It was a dominant display from Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov, who won the race ahead of Maxim Dirks and Sven Bart. And it was the newcomer Zeno Folker who came home in 3rd place, having had an encounter, a close encounter with Mattis Plushkull on the closing lap. Mattis Plushkull picking up a 10-second penalty for himself and Max Angelard, his teammate, and finishing in 4th place. It was a thoroughly entertaining race, but it meant that Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov extended their lead by 22 points at the top of the championship. Today it could all change because Riccardo Cirelli is starting on pole position, and Mattis Plushkull, who made the headlines for all the wrong reasons yesterday, starts alongside him. Zeno Folker on his debut weekend has Maxim Dirks for company on row 2, and on row 3 yesterday's winners, Pavel Lefterov with Alexander Christensen for company. On row 4 of the grid, it's Mikkel C. Johansson and Thomas Ambiel. And Mikkel C. Johansson, who is joined for this round by the defending champion of Prototype Cup Germany, the legendary Valentino Catalano. Because of these conditions, the cars are starting behind the safety car. A very wise move indeed. It's a fairly tricky circuit. We run it in an anti-clockwise direction. It's 3.478 kilometers around. That's about 2.16 miles with 12 turns, 7 to the left and 5 to the right. We use 2 stretches of the tri-oval. Of course, the thing that this circuit was originally built as a host for the IndyCar event back in 2000, and we use a large section of the tri-oval, particularly almost the entire length of the pit straight and a bit of the final corner of the tri-oval as well, which is turn 12 of this circuit. It's a very quick circuit, but it's also a very bumpy circuit. So we're starting the cars behind the safety car just to give them an opportunity to get the heat into the tyres and into the brakes. The safety cars start, well, we're only going to do a couple of laps. We've done those already because we've just had indication the safety car is in at the end of this lap. And it will be just a very controlled start. Riccardo Cirelli, who did not have any luck yesterday because he didn't get a drive. Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen started off doing a sterling job. They brought the car in for the mandatory stop and driver change and could not get the car restarted again, and it meant that Riccardo Cirelli didn't even get a drive of the red number 8 car, and that is one into the barriers. That is a real shame. So the very pretty number 3 car with Maxim Dirks at the wheel has had a moment. Now looks like he's been able to rejoin. Safety car is into the pits, so we're going to get going, but that just shows you how slippery it is there. Maxim Dirks, along with Sven Bart, getting their first ever podium yesterday in the Prototype Cup Germany with that 2nd place. They were delighted. It looked like their bad luck was over, but certainly a tricky, even behind the safety car, and the car just getting away from Maxim Dirks. Anyway, we are under green flag conditions, and it is Riccardo Cirelli who leads the way. Mattis Plushkull in 2nd place. You get the feeling that the people who are going to score the points today are going to be those that are sensible. Now, Zeno Folker, this is his debut weekend in Prototype Cup Germany. This is a very steep learning curve for him. He's in 3rd place at the moment. Qualifying was done in the drive back on Friday. He's already got Pavel Lefterov, his teammate for Conrad Motorsport, behind him and closing in. And Zeno Folker will be driving with his fingertips and listening and looking for every shake and every slide of the car, because this will be a whole new experience for him in these conditions. Going deep into the corner, I think it's Alexander Christensen in the number 1 car in 5th place, and that opens the door to Mikkel C. Johansson. And there, Mattis Plushko's 2nd place car into the gravel. We said this is going to be the challenge, just keeping the cars on the track. Maxim Dirks has managed to find a route past, so Plushko drops down into, I think that's 7th place, because Thomas Ambiel's still behind him. This is really, really tricky. 49 minutes and 10 seconds. That's Mikkel C. Johansson in the background into the gravel as well. They are struggling to keep these cars onto the tarmac in these conditions. He's able to rejoin. He's scattering gravel everywhere. You can see the plumes of spray rising up in the face of Thomas Ambiel. You can see the rain on the camera lens. Riccardo Cirelli is going to have to draw on all of his experience to bring this one home in 1st place. He hasn't won a race this year. He won twice last year at Hockenheim in the season closer, so he's had 2 wins in Prototype Cup Germany, but this is a massive test. Here's Maxim Dirks coming back on the outside of Alexander Christensen. Well, at least has a look about it. Mattis Plushko has regathered himself, but he has a massive twitch into turn 1 and 2 in the pink number 18 car that is fielded by BWT Motorsport. But Maxim Dirks will have learned from that moment on the formation lap, or the lap behind the safety car. He's only managed to actually lose 1 place as a result of it. Mattis Plushko has lost 4, so let's have a look again. And that was the one where Maxim Dirks lost it. He did make contact with the barrier. It was a fairly light contact, so yeah, has damaged the rear of the car. That's going to affect the aerodynamics. Now, that might be slightly neutralized as a result of the wet conditions, but he's not going to handle well. There is Mattis Plushko doing a bit of drifting. These cars were certainly not built for drifting. They're ground effect cars. They rely on the car getting sucked down to the road surface, but of course they are powered by the mighty Nissan engines, 5.6-litre V8 engines. There's Mikkel C. Johansson doing a little bit of off-country exploration. The engines produce about 455 brake horsepower. They are mighty. The ground shakes, and they take a bit of controlling, especially in these conditions. So, Riccardo Cirelli in the lead. Zeno Folker is promoted to 2nd as a result of Mattis Plushko having that moment. 3rd place, Pavel Lefterov, but you get the feeling that Lefterov might be thinking about a move past Zeno Folker, who's not planning on doing every round of Prototype Cup Germany this year, but hopefully will be doing as many as he can. And Mattis Plushko coming back doesn't seem to have dented his confidence very much, does it? So coming back, he makes a route past Alexander Christensen, and Maxim Dirks as well, despite the modification to the rear of the car, doesn't seem to be having any issues as well. Pavel Lefterov is the fastest man on the track in that 3rd place. Oh, it's nervous just watching this, isn't it? Right, so Prototype Cup racing involves a mandatory stop for all drivers. The pit window will open during this race on the 22nd minute. So when the clock strikes 33 to go, as we look at Mattis Plushko just fighting his way back. Maxim Dirks as well around the outside of Alexander Christensen. So they're coming back from those moments. Maxim Dirks, well, hasn't shaken his confidence much, has he? He was in Prototype Cup Germany last year. Mattis Plushko was racing ADAC GT4 Germany last year, a very different kind of discipline, and has taken to this incredibly well. Plushko just tiptoeing around the corner. Took his 1st win last time out at the Hockenheim ring. Maxim Dirks still looking for that 1st win. Would dearly love to put one over the BWT Motorsport car. But Plushko holding on to that 4th place up ahead of them. Pavel Lefterov, Zeno Folker, Riccardo Cirelli leads the way by 1.886 seconds. Right now, boy, this takes a bit of courage. Maxim Dirks, you can see the cars bouncing around out along the pit straight. This is scary stuff. Matis Plushkul has a nose in front, and now Dirks to the outside, under braking into turn one. This is going to be tricky, slowing it down, keeping it on the track. He ducks back to the inside. Into turn one they come, round into turn two. Look at this from Maxim Dirks. Great car control, giving the squeeze to Matis Plushkul. So despite the issues with the back end of the car, he's worked his way into third place. Plushkul's not done yet. Onto the tri-oval they come, out of turn five once again. But Dirks has that position. P3 for Maxim Dirks in the very lively painted car. Really good. It's great to watch and look at it close up. But Maxim Dirks in the third place. Matis Plushkul behind him. Let's have another look here. Very brave. He took a first look. Well, Plushkul took a look on the inside of him as they were lapping Alexander Christensen. But then Maxim Dirks coming back. This was into turn one. Carrying a lot of speed at the end of that straight, under braking. And this is where Dirks made his attack on Matis Plushkul. Through into turn two on the inside. Plushkul being very fair, giving him the room. As that Thomas Ambiel, I think, having a little spin on the tri-oval. So the bronze-rated driver onto the curbs there. He is running, so he's up at turn 6 and 7 at the moment. So he's managed to keep it going. But you just see these drivers all running right on the edge. And there is our leader, snaking under braking. Riccardo Cirelli, Zeno Folker, on his debut weekend in Prototype Cup Germany. I think this is the first time he's run one of these things in the wet. Such a talented young driver. Pavel Lefterov has not managed to get past him. So the very experienced Pavel Lefterov not able to find a route past Zeno Folker. The car, number 22, the driver from Germany for Conrad Motorsport, trying to make his way. Currently holding down that second place. He was go-karting until 2023. He was in the ADAC Tourenwagen Junior Cup in 23 as well. First sat in an LMP3 car back in the winter in the Prototype Winter Series. Got a 5th and a 2nd place. But apart from that, has no experience of this discipline. Would really love to put a budget together to do a full season. This is his first weekend of the season. I think we're going to see him a couple more times this year, which is great news, and showing everybody what he can do with that second place that he's holding at the moment. Mikkel C. Johansson, currently in 7th place, another one exploring the local countryside. Here comes our race leader, Riccardo Cirelli. 1.563 was the gap as he gets on the power. The back end of the car just sliding slightly. Zeno Folker learning a lot from a legendary team, in fact 2 legendary teams, because BWT Mucker, who leads the way by 2.443 seconds. So Cirelli's managed to open up the gap. Zeno Folker falling back into the clutches of Pavel Lefterov now. So the last lap from Zeno Folker was about half a second slower than the car in front and the car behind. So clearly Zeno had a bit of a moment on the previous lap and has fallen back into the striking range of Pavel Lefterov. I dare say Pavel, who is a really good coach as well, really likes to nurture the young drivers. I think he would have probably taught Zeno a few tricks. May wish he hadn't if Zeno stops him from getting past. There's the race leader, Riccardo Cirelli. Looks to have it under control at the moment. So I mentioned the pit stop. Every car will need to come in for a pit stop when the clock strikes 33 to go. The window will open for 10 minutes, and during that 10 minutes, every car will need to come in for a mandatory stop. Each car has a different criteria for how long they need to be stationary for in the pits. There is a minimum pit stop time from pit entry to pit exit. And depending on the status of the drivers, whether there are 2 drivers driving the car or whether it's 1, and whether they're silver or bronze rated, will determine how long between the pit entry and the pit exit they need to be in the pits. There's there's a minimum pit stop time of 90 seconds. There is then a handicap that is issued. So a single bronze driver has no handicap. Single silver driver, though, has a 25-second handicap added to that 90 seconds. A bronze and silver driver has an additional 10 seconds. Two silver drivers have an additional 20 seconds. Add to that, we've also got a success handicap. So Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov will have an additional 6 seconds added to their 110. Confused yet? That is because they won yesterday. Second place, Maxim Durix and Sven Bar will have an additional 4 seconds. That's added to their 110 minimum pit stop time, making 114 seconds as a result of second yesterday. And Zeno Folker an additional 2 seconds because he's a solo silver driver, not sharing the car with anybody else. He has a minimum pit stop time of 115 seconds, plus the 2 for finishing third yesterday, so 117 seconds. So you can see why Zeno Folker wants to get on up the road, because he has got a longer pit stop than anybody else on the track, which is a harsh punishment for a driver who's making his debut this weekend. But that's what happens when you are silver rated by the FIA and you are solo driver in one of these cars. Pavel Lefterov and Danny Sufi, on account of being 2 silver drivers, will be stationary, well, without the success handicap, for 5 seconds less than Zeno Folker. But of course, they've got the 6 seconds added for the win. You have to be on top of the game here, which is fairly rare in my case. We will see what happens, because the pit window is not going to open for another 5 minutes yet. Certainly, Riccardo Cirelli looking very, very strong. Didn't finish yesterday, along with Matthias Bjerre-Jakobsen. It means their minimum pit stop time is just, I say just in inverted commas, 110 seconds. So the 2 cars behind them will lose time as a result of the additional pit stop times. So it is Cirelli who leads the race from Zeno Folker, doing a sterling job in second place. Yesterday, Pavel Lefterov, along with Danny Sufi, I think would say were crushing in their domination of this race. But without an open track in front of them and with these slippery conditions, not quite so easy. Maxim Durix with the modified back end doesn't seem to have been affected too much. In fact, a 138.92 is his fastest lap. His last was a 140.211. So last lap, 138.9 last time round was the last lap for Maxim Durix. So he is showing a very similar pace to our race leader, 138.916. Riccardo Cirelli, who has the advantage of a nice clear track in front of him. No spray, no other cars at the moment. So he's able to stretch his legs. He was the fastest man on the track, though. Last time around in Sector 1, Zeno Folker putting in the fastest of anybody in Sector 1. What incredible talent this young driver is showing. And a personal best in Sector 2. The best of anybody in the last sector was Sector 2 was then set by Riccardo Cirelli, so he's responding with a new quickest lap of the race. So looking out the window, I can't really tell whether it's raining or not, but the track is wet, but it might be drying a little. You can see a slight line. I wouldn't exactly call it a dry line, but you can see the line where they're racing. So Riccardo Cirelli just keeping this all under control. It's going to be a lot of pressure for Matthias Bjerre-Jakobsen when he jumps into the seat of that car after the pit window has closed, or during the pit window. This is the fight for second place. Zeno Folker, really impressed yesterday, really impressing today. And there's Pavel Lefterov, a driver you'd have seen in ADAC GT4 Germany over the years. Shared the car with Stefan Bostanchiev for several years. So that stepped away from GT4 into the LMP3 category and proving what a versatile driver he is. And there was a big moment from Zino Folker, a little twitch as he came out of the corner, and that's left him very vulnerable to Pavel Lefterov, clearly pushing as hard as he dare. Maxim Durix really impressing there in that 4th place. So Zino Folker had a big moment, just a twitch on his own, under braking into the corner, kept it all on the track, so good responses, picking it all up, but has now left him very much within striking range of Pavel Lefterov. Out onto the pit straight we come. You can see Lefterov now is really close. He looks to the outside. Is he going to make a move into turn 1? Folker has allowed one change of direction under braking. He's still holding on to that position. Pavel Lefterov, these cars are very wide. This track now very narrow around this part of it. And still, Zino Folker, what an astonishing job he is doing, holding off the experience of Pavel Lefterov. But he's got to keep this up for another 34 3/4 minutes. And Pavel Lefterov will be handing the car over to Danny Sufi, who is red hot quick in one of these as well. So the fight for second place continues. All this is allowing Riccardo Cirelli to extend his lead. 4.874 at the front was what it was last time across the start-finish line. We'll see what that is in a moment. He's up at turn 8 at the moment. Through the mist and the murk, through the rain, the headlights are blazing. Prototype Cup Germany 2025. The monsters are entertaining us. The noise is echoing around the Lausitzring. And we are watching Zino Folker defending and fighting for all he's worth. 34 minutes on the clock, which means we're about a minute away from the pit window opening, and then the cars will have a 10-minute window in which to come in. Now Riccardo Cirelli catching the back marking Thomas Ambiol out onto the pit straight. Moves to the inside. Ambiol just giving him plenty of space. He's a bronze-rated driver. This is not the battle that he is in today. Cirelli in his 2nd season, another of the young drivers that came in last year and impressed immediately. Apart from yesterday with the non-finish, Riccardo Cirelli has finished 3 times on the podium this year and won 4th place. Right, pit window opening in 12, 11, 10, and then it will be time for the strategy calls. Minimum pit stop times different for each car depending on success penalties, driver pairings and driver ratings. So pit window is open. Who is going to be the first to blink? Riccardo Cirelli's minimum pit stop time will be 110 seconds. Zino Folker's minimum pit stop time will be 117 seconds. The minimum pit stop time for Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov will be 116 seconds. There is Matis Plushko in 5th place, having lost that position to Maxim Durix. But again, to remind you, this is a debut season in LMP3 racing for Matis Plushko. Has been very, very solid. Took his first win at Hockenheim. And Alexander Christensen finding the conditions just a little challenging. And that's also the case for Mikkel C. Johansson. So Johansson, right, into the pits comes Pavel Lefterov. So Danny Sufi will be on standby. So minimum pit stop time for this car, it is 90 seconds, plus 20 for the driver pairing, plus 6 for the win yesterday. So 116 seconds from pit entry to pit exit. You can see it's ticking down already. Also into the pits is Mikkel C. Johansson, handing over to the champion at the moment, the reigning champion, Valentina Catalana. Here he comes into a stop. There's Valentina Catalana ready to jump, seat insert in hand. I have to tell you, Valentino, well, he's the champion. He won it last year with Marcus Palmer. He is very rapid indeed. So 2 cars in. This is very significant. Riccardo Cirelli staying out. Zino Folker staying out at the moment. The clock ticks down. No immediate rush here. Getting on for 2 minutes for some of these drivers to make the stop. The number 80 car, Valentina Catalana, is silver. Mikael C. Johansson and Catalana. Minimum pit stop time is 110 seconds. There is Franz Conrad, the boss of Conrad Motorsport, a legend in his own lunchtime. I'd love to tell you what they're saying. I'm afraid my German is not very good, / non-existent, but we'll find out shortly what is occurring. So the door is slammed on Valentina Catalano. This is going to be impressive because this guy knows his way around an LMP3 car. Very quick indeed. He's the 2024 champion. He's currently leading the IMSA LMP3 championship. He was in the 25 Le Mans Cup, 4th in the 2023 Prototype Cup Germany. We've seen him in ADAC Formula 4. That was a few years ago. We know how good he is. Right, out onto the track is the number 2 car with Danny Sufi at the wheel. Valentina Catalana also out onto the track. So 2 cars to have made their stop at the moment. Still Riccardo Cirelli staying out. Zina Folker staying out. Maxim Direk staying out. Matis Plushko staying out at the moment. So our race leader, still Riccardo Cirelli. He's up, heading towards turn 8 at the moment. There is Valentina Catalano, a real superstar of Prototype Cup racing. Loves his racing, loves it here at Prototype Cup Germany. BWT team making notes, having discussions, deciding when to call in their 2 drivers. BWT Mucker Motorsport, of course, Peter Mucker is the boss of that. Stefan Mucker also involved. In comes Zina Folker. So he is the driver who is a solo driver in that car. He has the biggest penalty for that, a 25 seconds added to the pit window time of 90 seconds, plus 2 seconds for finishing 3rd yesterday. So according to my complex calculations, that is 117 seconds from pit entry to pit exit. So he'll want to get this out of the way, get out on track, and then it's all hell let loose as he just goes for it at the end. So in he comes to the Conrad Motorsport pit box. Can I just say, what a great job these drivers are doing. Matis Plushko in as well, so he's getting ready to hand over to Maximilian Anglard. So Max Anglard, the Polish driver, they took their first win at the last round. I was about to say, what a great job these drivers are doing in such challenging conditions. These cars are tricky to drive. The Lausitzring is bumpy and tricky to race on. And with rain coming down, this is such a test for all of these drivers. Franz Conrad just being consulted, very much hands-on, the boss of that team. Waves the umbrella. You're doing a great job, Zino. That's what we say. Now, is there an issue? We can see the cars, the drivers, the team, the mechanics got there in the end, working on the right quarter of that car. So, is there a problem, or are they just taking tyre pressures? In fact, looks like they're putting a bit of air into the tyres. So, looks like a bit of an additional air put in. Now, I don't know what time he needs to leave the pit box. You can see the clock ticking down. You can hear the engine firing up. Now the leaders into the pits. Riccardo Cirelli with just over 4 minutes of the pit window remaining. Matthias Pierre Jakobsen will be standing by. His heart will be racing as he gets ready to take over the seat of what has been the race-leading car. Maxim Dirks is also in. He will be handing over to Sven Bart. Alexander Christensen stays out at the moment. He will be handing over to Mikael Herrick, but they will have a shorter pit stop, so they are going to gain as a result of this. Zino Folker, I believe, is moving and rolling out of the pit, so that's all good. Doesn't look like there are any issues there. Here is the car that has been leading the race. Riccardo Cirelli is out, and now Matthias Pierre Jakobsen jumps in. There's Sven Bart jumping into the car that was occupied by Maxim Dirk. Sven Bart, a hugely experienced driver. There's Matis Plushko just going for a walk across the pit lane, ready to jump onto the wall and cheer on his fellow driver. Maxim Dirk has done all that he can today, despite that moment on the lap behind the safety car. He gathered it together. Doesn't look like the car is too badly damaged. You don't want to damage that paintwork. Look at that artwork with the lady lying down the engine cover and the circles. Last year, it was the hundreds and thousands car. This year, it's the car. I don't know how to describe that, but it's spectacular. It's a really awful thing to have to colour match if you bend it, though. So the team setting to work, getting that car ready to go back out on track. Right, good to see Zeno Folker didn't have any issues, so they've done the tyre pressures. Just looking to see whether he is, I actually haven't got a reading on his pit stop time, 1:59. So yeah, he was within his time on the pit window. So Zeno Folker back out on track. Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen 1.3 over the minimum pit stop time. So nice safe margin there. So Zeno Folker still in that second place despite the lengthy pit stop. Sven Bart, he's also back out onto the track. So we're just waiting for one more car to come in. Alexander Christensen, who will hand over to Mikael Herrick. So it is the number 8 car that will still lead the way. Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen in the number 8 car at the moment. There is Sven Bart in the number 3 car. So into the pits comes the last of the stoppers. Thomas Ambiel, of course, into the pits as well. So Alexander Christensen handing the car over to Mikael Herrick. So here comes Mikael, seat insert in hand. Of course, each driver has a different build, different stature, so the seat insert makes sure they don't rattle around inside the cockpit of the number 1 Duqueine DR8 that is prepared by Gebhard Intralogics Motorsports. Another great team in the world of German motorsport. The growl of the engine. Here comes the race leader at the moment. Looks to have it all very much in hand. He's up into turn 11. Just blowing out the vents, make sure there's no debris in there that's going to cause anything to overheat. The last cars to pit in the pit window. Thomas Ambiel has that short stop of just 90 seconds. I'm looking to see where he is. He's still stationary in the pits at the moment. So I think that Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen is not going to have any issues there with retaking the lead of this race. Zeno Folker, sterling job there in second place. Now Sven Bart has got the jump on Danny Sufi as a result of the pit stop sequence. Remember, Danny Sufi, Pavel Lefterov had that extension on their minimum pit stop time as a result of the win yesterday. So he's going to have to do a bit of work out on track now. The remaining cars coming out of the pit lane. 23 minutes and 10 seconds remaining of this race. No more mandatory pit stops left to be done. So now we can take stock. It is Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen who's taken over from Riccardo Cirelli to lead this race. Zeno Folker in second place on his debut weekend. I have to keep telling that to myself. In second place. In third place now, Sven Bart, who's taken over from Maxim Direct for Aust Motorsport, another legendary team in the world of motorsport. And that is Alexander Christensen. And I think the hand gesture says it all about what it was like out there. So Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen. So 2 drivers who have made their debuts this year in Prototype Cup Germany, but one of them is on their 6th race, the other is on their 2nd, and it is in these wet conditions. Zeno Folker, you just know already what little we know about him, that he's probably already wondering if he can somehow get past the number 8 car and take an audacious win. He would dearly love to do that. In the background, Sven Bart, I would say the most experienced driver on the grid. We saw him in GT Masters between 2013 and 2019. Originally came from Formula 3 Germany. That was way back in 2003, I think that was. seem to remember he used to race the big growling Corvette, so when he was in GT Masters, so he's clearly one for the big loud engines. Right, the gap 2.681 between Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen and Zeno Folker. Sven Bart is 7.1 seconds back from them. Has this been a bit of a moment for Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen? It was a lock-up. Did he keep it off the grass? And did he keep it out of the gravel? He's would have put a nice flat spot. That's a great demonstration of dragging a tyre along the tarmac. The wet would have helped a little bit to soften the blow, but that would have still put a soft, flat spot on that tyre. And that's allowed Zeno Folker to close in now. 1.378 now down to 0.978. So Zeno Folker has closed in. He's going to challenge, isn't he? You can see he's closed in on the leader. This is going to be really interesting. 20.5 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race. The 6th race of a 12-race season. At the moment, Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen leads the way. Zeno Folker in 2nd place in the wet conditions. Can these drivers hold it together without making mistakes? You can see the bumps as they head down the pit straight. It is a bumpy surface, a track that's not used very much throughout the year. There it is, the confirmation. Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen in the lead. Zeno Folker taking chunks out of that lead. Sven Bart in the background. Also coming through, Max Angelard, another of the new young chargers in the Prototype Cup Germany. Challenged by Valentina Catalano, though. Catalano, the defending champion, on the inside into turn 1 and up into 5th place. Valentina Catalano has that move done on the number 18 car, and Max Angelard is relegated that position. So this is going to be about racecraft. It's going to be about keeping it on the grey stuff in these tricky conditions. It is an endurance, this. Less than 20 minutes, but holding it together, not making mistakes. Zeno Folker to the inside of Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen. Matthias Bjerre just holding on to that lead at the moment. Zeno Folker does not want to make contact, does not want to end up in the wall or in the gravel trap. He drops back a bit into turn 10. He'll come out to turn 11. It'll be onto the power. The back end of the car will want to step away. There it goes, onto the power. He comes onto the tri-oval. Now all the bravery required to get your foot on it, collecting all that speed as you head towards turn 1. We're looking again at Valentina Catalana. Even champions can make mistakes. Valentina Catalana getting caught out by those conditions. So he was able to gather it up, but even the champion making a mistake and now having to do all the hard work. There is a replay of him getting back and past Max Angelard out along the pit straight, through the mist and through the murk, the headlights blazing. And Valentina Catalana getting the job done into turn 1. But everybody driving on the limit in these cars. They are tough, tough cars to drive. They're great training ground. Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen holding it all together. Riccardo Cirelli, I expect, will probably locked himself in the downstairs toilet. He'll be too scared to look at this one. All his hard work from pole position now in the hands of Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen. Zeno Folker with great ambition. He almost certainly knows that if he can put this on the top step of the podium, it will open the door to potential sponsorship opportunities. We can already see both of these young drivers are absolute superstars. Such skill being shown. When you see the likes of the current champion losing it and spinning in these conditions, you know how good these drivers are just to keep it on the tarmac. 17.25 minutes remaining. Out onto the tri-oval, turn 11, we come once again. Here's our race leader, Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen. Not allowing the pressure to get to him. Zeno Folker doing what he can to put the pressure on. But Bjerre-Jacobsen holding it together. Into turn 1 they come. Zeno Folker just dropped back a little bit. 1.120 last time across the start-finish line. Sven Bart in the background. Doesn't look like he can close in. He's 5 seconds back from this battle. Behind them, Danny Sufi. So Danny Sufi's got a bit of work to do here. The result of that pit stop, 14.85 back from Sven Bart and 20.9 back from the race leader, Zeno Folker. I mean, it was just a camera angle. Looked like it got a bit of a slide on there. Flashing the lights, using all the old tricks already. He's back up with Matthias Pierre Jakobsen. Our race leader, second, Zeno Folker. Through the rain and the mist, 16 minutes remaining of this race 6 of the season. This could go in any direction. It may be about who makes the least mistakes. At the moment, none of them are making mistakes. Such mature driving. Sven Bart is currently the quickest man on the track, a 1:38.153. So third place, Sven Bart, with the quickest lap of the race last time around. So he is closing in on these cars. Zeno Folker taking a much tighter line out of turn 12. He's done that the last few times around. Matthias Pierre Jakobsen going up high towards the wall. In towards turn 1 they come. The gap, 0.8 of a second, 0.878 between first and second. Folker keeping the pressure on. Into turn 1, around to turn 2 they come. Brilliant stuff. Entertainment from these drivers, 2 young chargers. The veteran of Sven Bart in the background, the championship leader Danny Sufi behind them, Max Angelard then, the current champion Valentina Catalana trying to come back. He's 4.1 seconds back from Max Angelard. So Catalana starting his charge up through the pack. Danny Sufi, 14.6 back from Sven Bart. So he's also closing in on the third place car. But they may be, with 14.5 minutes remaining, are they now relying on the leading cars making mistakes to get up into the lead battle? Zeno Folker flashing the lights once again. All the distraction techniques that he can put on into turn 8. That is a tricky corner. We've seen many cars going wide there in all of the classes that have been running here this weekend. Our race leader, the pressure is on all the way. No let up for Matthias Pierre Jakobsen. Out into turn 11 once again, then up towards the wall. Zeno Folker taking a slightly higher line, but still a lot lower than Matthias Pierre Jakobsen. He will see the rooster tails of spray up ahead of him. He'll want to duck out so that he's got a view. He can see the breaking point as they head in towards turn 1. But too far back to make a move into turn 1 on this occasion. 13.5 minutes remaining. Sven Bart still in the background, 4.953 behind. Sven Bart wants to join this battle. Sven Bart will be cheered on by Maxim Dirks. His co-driver will be watching on from the pits. Danny Sufi in 4th place. 14.974 seconds back from a podium position. So a steep mountain to climb for the drivers that dominated yesterday, going deep. Matthias Pierre Jakobsen, he took a very deep line into turn 6. Zeno Folker too far back to do anything about it, but maybe now closer than he's been at any point before. 12.75 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race. Zeno Folker, is he running out of patience? Is he playing a waiting game? They may well have Sven Bart for company, because Sven Bart in the background in 3rd place is closing in on this lead battle. Another twitch for Matthias Pierre Jakobsen. He is on the edge. He is pushing it for all he's worth. Zeno Folker looks to be just a bit more stable at the moment. Into turn 11 they will come once again out onto the tri-oval. Again, it'll be the high line for Matthias Pierre Jakobsen. I expect that Zeno Folker will take that lower line out of the corner. He'll duck out of the spray to get a better view as they tear across past the pits. 0.608 was the gap. It's back up to 0.987. So despite the big twitch from Matthias Pierre Jakobsen, he's still in control of this race. Sven Bart, 4.474 behind, nibbling away. He can see the cars that he wants to challenge. 1, 2, 3, first, second and third, all in the same shot as we look back towards turn 1. So 11.5 minutes remaining. This is tense. I should think Matthias B.A. Jakobsen would be really happy if they'd throw the checkered flag now, but he's going to have to bring this one all the way. It's a lock-up for Zeno Folker as he goes to the inside, though. This is his challenge for the lead. Don't drive into each other, please. Matthias B.A. Jakobsen will see the green and black car of Zeno Folker. He's covered him off for the time being. In these conditions, so slippery, but Zeno Folker starting to look impatient. It was 9/10 of a second last time. It's now down to half a second between first and second place. The gap constantly opening and closing, but Zeno Folker, you just get the feeling that if he gets in front, he could open up a gap, but he's got to get past Matthias B.A. Jakobsen, who is positioning that car perfectly in exactly the right position to stop him from doing that. It's a Duquesne race leading, the Duquesne car leading the race with Matthias B.A. Jakobsen at the wheel. Then 3 Ligiers in second, third and fourth. The leading Ligier with Zeno Folker at the wheel. Out onto the pit straight once again. Zeno Folker ducking out of the spray. Into turn 1. Too far back to make a dive bomb into that first turn, especially in these conditions. There's quite a downhill drop there as well. You don't really see it in the picture. It's a tricky pinch point turn that. Around to turn 2 they come. There is Sven Bart in the background. The gap now down to 3.273. He could easily be with the leading duo before too long. And Zeno Folker will be aware that Sven Bart is in the background in the ADAC Motorsport Ligier, and that will spirit him on to try and find a route past Matthias B.A. Jakobsen. Taking entirely different lines. They make contact. Jakobsen keeps it going, but it's damage to both cars. And Zeno Folker into the fence. He made that move in towards turn 6. Both cars have gone. Sven Bart takes the lead of the race. Zeno Folker is able to reverse the car back out onto the track. As Danny Sufius comes through, he'll be into second place. But we knew there was going to be a challenge somewhere along the way. We were hoping they weren't going to get together, but that's what happened. Zeno Folker knew the time was running out. I think it's going to be a second non-finish for the number 8 car. Matthias B.A. Jakobsen, you can see going into turn 6, there was the gap, and then Zeno Folker just going for the gap, and from that angle, it looked like Matthias B.A. Jakobsen trying to shut the door. The stewards will have a better angle on it. They are investigating it. Well, there's no surprises there, and they will decide, right, this is a different angle. Was that a dive bomb from Zeno Folker? Was that a closed door from Matthias B.A. Jakobsen? I'll leave you to make your own decision. But the sad news is that both cars that were running first and second are out of the podium places. Certainly, Matthias B.A. Jakobsen appears to be out of the race. He's stranded there still. Zeno Folker has rejoined, but he has clearly lost a load of places. He is being shown on the timing screen in third place still. Safety car is out on track, so we'll get a clear picture in a moment. So the safety car is out. Now this is going to really help the likes of Danny Sufi and Valentina Catalano. So briefly, Sven Bart was thinking, okay, I've got this one in the bag, because he did have a gap of about 15 seconds to Danny Sufi. But with the safety car out, of course, it's all going to close up now. It depends on how quickly it's going to take them to move the number 8 car. But this ain't all over yet. So we can see that cars are weaving to generate the heat into the tyre. There is the race leader, Sven Bart, along with Maxim Dirks. I should think they'll probably explode if they could bring this one home. I saw them yesterday, and the second place, they were partying. If they could win this here this afternoon, I should think they would probably go nuclear, I should think. It's has been a tough year, certainly, for Maxim Dirks last year. He just kept getting bad luck that wasn't really his fault. Breakdowns, punctures, goodness knows what else. Would love to win this race along with Sven Bart, and it would be a debut win if they could do it. But now, when this gets going, they're going to have Danny Sufi, the champion, the driver that led by such a distance and won by such a distance yesterday, directly behind. You can see that Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen is still in the car while they extract it from the fence. Such a shame. Both drivers were doing such a good job. And we're looking again. And Zeno Volker not really with much of his car in the gap. And the pirouette and the damage. So Volker at the moment is still showing in third place. They were both taking very different lines into that corner, into turn 6, and have been for much of the race. And Zeno Volker would have known that Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen was taking that wider line into the corner, saw that as his opportunity. But the stewards will decide amongst themselves. I'm always keen not to pass too much opinion, because it's not my job. That's the job of a race steward. I was a race steward once in another form of motorsport, and I have to say I know what a tough job it is, and that's for them to decide what the score is. There's our race leader, Sven Bart, and he will catch up with the safety car shortly. Safety car came out. I think it picked up Danny Sufi at the time, but now it'll wait for Sven Bart to catch up. And all the gaps will close up. Right, 5 minutes and 10 seconds plus 1 lap remaining of this race. This will be what we all love and know as the dash for the cash, because when this gets underway, and I do think we will get back underway, it's going to be very little time left, and all these cars potentially are going to be nose to tail, as long as they can all catch up with the safety car in the time that is remaining. And of course, with Zeno Volker in third place, the stewards may yet decide to get involved in that, or they may not. So here comes the safety car. 4.5 minutes remaining. Wow, action-packed, drama-filled race for the Prototype Cup Germany. So there is the stricken car, which will go back to the BWT Mucke Motorsport base, and will be checked over and will be readied for the next round, which takes place around the streets of Nuremberg. More about that later. In the meantime, our focus is on this race. So at the moment, Zeno Volker is quite a long way back from the safety car, so I expect he's going to want to get the rest of the cars to catch up. So Volker at the moment is up at turn 6. The car's currently coming into turn 8. Just behind them is Max Angelard, who's kept out of trouble here, and Valentina Catalano. Of course, important to keep a certain amount of pace to keep the temperature up. You can see there the confirmation of what we were saying earlier. The fastest lap on lap 21 from Sven Bart at 138.153. It would be a first ever win if they could do this. Dare we call it? And I should think that Sven Bart and Maxim Dirks are saying, take your time clearing the track and getting everything together. We're quite happy to finish this one behind the safety car. This is the 18th race for Sven Bart, and up until now, his best results up until yesterday had been 3 fourth places, 2 in 2024 at the Sachsenring, 1 at Hockenheim this year, but of course yesterday they got that 2nd place, which was a new best, and now they lead the way. Time is starting to run out. I still haven't had notification of the safety car coming in. I have now, so safety car will be in on this lap. Right, so we're up into turn 2 at the moment. This is really going to be a sprint to the end. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. They've all caught up. So we've got Sven Bart, Danny Sufi, Zeno Volker, Max Angelard, and Valentina Catalano all lined up. Michael Herrich and Thomas Ambler a little way back. But of course, they are in the Trophy Championship race. So this is going to be really interesting. We're into turn 6 at the moment. When the clock strikes 0, whatever lap the leader is on will be completed, and then it's 1 more lap after that. Can Sven Bart hold on from Danny Sufi, who has been astonishingly quick all weekend long. Has Zeno Folker given up on the idea of a top step of the podium? I don't think he has. He may well decide that he wants to have a pop at this as well. Max Angelard in 4th place. He's not done yet. And then at the back of that lot, you have the defending champion, Valentino Catalana. We have 1 minute and 10 seconds of timed racing left, so it's probably going to be a couple of laps of this circuit to decide who the winner is. Sven Bart has done many restarts over the years. It will be his decision when to go, so he can just hold on for a bit. Safety car is off the track. Once they get onto the tri-oval, I expect to be on the power. There he goes. So Sven Bart now giving it full beans. The back end of the car twitching as he goes through the gearbox. Danny Sufi will know this will be one of his best opportunities along the pit straight towards turn 1. Sufi to the outside. The damaged Zeno Folker car to the inside now. Sufi switches back to the inside into turn 1. Takes the lead of the race. Sven Bart had nothing that he could do about Danny Sufi. Into turn 1, then into turn 2 for Danny Sufi. Zeno Folker now lining up, but the car is damaged. It's not going to be handling well, but can it be a Conrad Motorsport 1-2 as they cross the line? Sven Bart may not be done yet. Out onto turn 5 they come, onto the tri-oval. Then it'll be into turn 6, a bumpy section and a downhill section. They come into here. The clock has struck 0, so about a lap and a half of this race left. Danny Sufi leading the way, looking to make it a double along with Pavel Lefterov, but Sven Bart is not done yet. In 2nd place, he closes in on Danny Sufi. Has he got anything left in the tank? Can he get that first ever win? Or will Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov break his heart and ruin his dreams? Zeno Folker in 3rd place is there and waiting. Then a gap back to Max Angelard in 4th place. Valentina Catalana in these conditions not able to make a challenge on that 4th place at the moment. Into turn 10 for the penultimate time and around into turn 11. They will come out onto the pit straight. Time is starting to run out for Sven Bart. He needs to get as close as he can to Danny Sufi. I don't think he's got it at the moment. Into turn 12, out along the pit straight. This is the best overtaking opportunity on the circuit. The start of the final lap of the race. Danny Sufi leading the way. Sven Bart has a little look to the outside. Maybe his only chance is if Danny Sufi makes a mistake. Danny Sufi does not make many mistakes. So Zeno Folker now pressuring Sven Bart with still no news on whether there's any penalties incoming for Folker. But at the moment, we're looking at the race out on the track. Folker now putting the pressure onto Bart. That means that Bart can no longer attack. He has to defend, and that is allowing Danny Sufi now to stretch his legs, doing exactly what he needed to do. It was 0.6 of a second when they crossed the start-finish line. You can see it's loads more than that now. So Sven Bart now no longer challenging for the lead, but defending for that 2nd place. It would still be a great points haul, but Zeno Folker wants to steal that away from him. Zeno Folker, who took so many of the headlines yesterday, he had that 3rd place. Can he go one better in this race? Through the mist and through the rain they come on the final lap of the weekend for Prototype Cup Germany. Into turn 8 they go. That's a tricky corner. Get that one under the belt. There's a win in itself. Danny Sufi, though, leads the way. Sven Bart is there. Zeno Folker. Is there going to be a challenge for Zeno Folker? I don't think it's going to be coming. Into turn 11, they will come for the last time onto the tri-oval. Danny Sufi now just has to get it around this corner, up through the mist and the rain. He will see the checkered flag and he will know it's 2 out of 2 for Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov extending their lead in the championship. It's 2 out of 2 for 2nd place for Sven Bart and Maxim Dirk, and it's 2 out of 2 3rd places for Zeno Folker as he crosses the line in 3rd place. And Franz Conrad looks on once again, and that is Valentino Catalana, I believe, who's not made it to the end. So Valentino Catalana, the defending champion, that's out on turn 5 towards towards turn 6. The car's into retirement, so clearly there's been a problem there. So the oncoming charge from Valentina Catalano came to a stop on the last lap of the race. But the headlines, it's a second win of the weekend for Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov. It's a second place of the weekend for Maxim Dirks and Sven Bart, and it's a third place for Zeno Folker. And you can see there that move for the lead. Sven Bart blocked and defended as much as he dared, did all that he could, but nothing was going to stop Danny Sufi from coming through. He just kept his foot buried on it and stole that position away. So brilliant stuff. Pro Cycle Cup Germany always entertains, and in these tricky conditions at the Lausitzring, that was wonderful stuff. Not the dominant performance of yesterday from Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov, mainly because they had to come through the pack in the wet conditions, but a really solid job as well. Mikael Herrick will win along with Alexander Christensen in the Trophy Championship, the Trophy Drivers Race. Here is your confirmation. Here is your classification subject confirmation. Stewards investigations going on of Danny Sufi, Pavel Lefterov, Sven Bart, Maxim Dirks, Zeno Folker. That's your 1, 2, 3. Max Angelard, Mattis Plushkal did well with that 4th place ahead of Mikael Herrick, Alex Christensen, and then Valentina Catalana, Mikkel C. Johansson were non-finishers in 6th place ahead of Thomas Ambiel, and then the non-finisher was Matthias Bjerre-Jakobsen and Riccardo Cirelli. Danny Sufi, remember that name. This guy is going places. The driver who comes from Austin in Texas, but lives now currently in Dortmund. Very, very close to the Conrad Motorsport crew. Pavel Lefterov. The two of them together have proven to be a potent combination. There's Maxim Dirks there with the Aust overalls on, alongside Sven Bart, who's still got his helmet on. And there is the 3rd place, Zeno Folker, the third place on his debut weekend. And but for that incident, a fairly flawless afternoon. And there in 2nd place for Aust Motorsport, Sven Bart and Maxim Dirks. But the winner, once again, they had to work a lot harder for it this time. Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov, their 3rd win of this season.
Crashes were 155, 160. Difficult to drive the car.
I couldn't do anything.
The front is always coming.
And then the rear comes. And
yeah.
Braking, you have nothing. It was one of the most difficult sessions I've had to drive.
Yeah, I felt the same in the beginning. I couldn't make the move to Zeno because every time it feels I make the move, I'm going to lock up and.
Yeah, you have no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
It's really strange, but God, super
What happened in that lap? You spun or?
I started with more pressure. When he was better, it was still not enough. We put more pressure in a pit stop. And the car was good, but he made a mistake. He shook the number 8 out. He get a penalty, I think.
Yeah.
But the 18 is way behind us. So
Interesting just to hear what they're saying.
The pink one is coming close though, huh?
what one?
The pink one is still close.
No.
The red one is getting more.
Take photo.
So, some really good insight there. Interesting, Franz Conrad thinks there may be a penalty incoming. And also interesting to hear him saying they were putting pressure into the rear tyres of Zeno Folker's car. Man, oh man. And you heard Danny Sufi say, one of the toughest races he's had to drive. There's Sven Bart on the right and Maxim Dirks on the left. They will be delighted with that 2nd place. And they were properly ecstatic about that 2nd yesterday. They are a really good partnership. Some real wisdom with Sven Bart. Maxim Dirks the real talent as well. And the two of them have really clicked, actually, and a really good combination. And I think it's exactly what Maxim Dirks needed. I think his head had dropped a bit at the end of last year, and he needed something that would give him a real shot in the arm, and that's exactly what he got. All right, Zeno Volker now.
Yeah, already no chance to turn in.
I had full lock on.
Okay.
But you lucky that you managed to get quickly out because he didn't.
So Zeno just giving his version of events. So there's nothing that has been issued in terms of statements. So as far as we're aware, this is how it is going to be. I think we might have known by now if they were going to issue any penalties. So Zeno Volker jumps to the third step of the podium for the second time in 2 races. Sven Bart and Maxim Dirks go to the second step of the podium. 2 lovely people. Who can stop the steamroller that is Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov? Because they have now extended their championship lead. Maxim Dirks wins as the highest placed junior. And the winning trophy driver onto the podium as well, Michael Herrick. And Franz Conrad once again taking the trophy for the team. This means that Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov extend their championship lead. Max Angelard and Mattis Plushkul 34 points adrift. Let's have the national anthem. So, Conrad Motorsport been represented with the Austrian national anthem. Always associate, as Ori Lichtenberg, the series coordinator, Prototype Cup Germany, always associate Conrad Motorsport with German motorsport because he's had so much success there. But of course, he's Austrian, an Austrian team. Guido Kernbach, project manager, Prototype Cup Germany. Another one who does a lot in the organisation and coordination of this great series. And Zeno Volker gets his second trophy of the weekend. I was about to mention the point situation. So yes, a 34-point lead for Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov. Up into third place, 47 points adrift is Sven Bart and Maxim Dirks. Second in the points, Max Angelard, Mattis Plushkul. So all very much to play for, and lots of challenges still to come. Maybe the biggest is yet to come, because we take a short break now at the halfway point of the season. We're going to be back at the beginning of July, but something altogether different, because we are going to be racing around the streets of Nuremberg. Something very tricky and very challenging, a almost short circuit. It is the Lausitzring from the 4th to the 6th of July, again on the DTM package. This is going to be a real challenge for these drivers. This could shake the championship up. After that, we'll be heading to the Nürburgring in August, and then it all comes to an end at the Red Bull Ring in September. But as we reach the halfway point of the season, we reflect on what has been a sensational start to the season for Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov. They have now won 50% of all of the races this season. They have cemented their position at the top of the championship. And as we head into part 2, they are in the strongest possible position. But it could all change. Join us in Nuremberg at the Lausitzring on the 4th to the 6th of July. We'll see you then.